This is an email that I want to read out to you, and I hope you will like it a lot. So I'll read it exactly as it was written. Hello Uday, I know you are always on the side of good, so I won't ask how you are. I'm Michael Smith. I live in Whitechapel. For a long time I've been thinking of sharing an incident, but due to lack of time I couldn't write, and coming to the studio from here isn't always possible. So if you like it, please read the story out. The incident happened to me on March 13, 2015. The day was Friday. I was in Uxbridge for some business. I had to go to a place just outside London for work frequently. I won't mention the exact name of the place where it happened, but it's about 35 to 40 kilometers outside central London, past Uxbridge, near an old industrial estate. All around were open fields and a few fishing lakes. As far as the eye could see, there were no houses. I used to stay in the guest room of a small factory there. The guest room was inside the factory premises. There was a scrapyard attached to the factory. Both belonged to the same owner. The factory machinery was running, making it hard to sleep due to the noise. It was around past 8:30 at night. I came out of the factory and headed towards the scrapyard. The yard area was pitch dark. Only a light was on near the site office. In front of the office, there was a big tree, and the area around the tree was paved with bricks. I went and sat under that tree on the paved platform, took out my phone from my pocket, and was browsing Facebook. It was dark all around, and besides the sound of the factory machinery, I could hear cricket-like sounds from the fields. I felt a bit scared, so I took out a cigarette from my pocket and lit it, thinking I'd finish it and then go back to sleep. Besides, you can't smoke inside the factory. Thinking this, I finished half the cigarette and stood up. I decided to smoke the rest while walking back. Also, my body felt strangely heavy. I had taken about 8 to 10 steps forward when suddenly I heard someone calling me from behind. Hey mate, wait a moment. I looked back. I saw a person dressed in white walking towards me. I wondered who it could be. I dropped the cigarette. The person came up to me and asked, "How are you?" I said, "Fine." I asked him, "Do you know me?" The person said, "Today marks 40 days since we first met. You fed me dinner at a KFC near Paddington Station." Then I remembered. The previous time I had come to this area, it was around 1:45 a.m. As I got out of the car, suddenly a person grabbed my hand from behind and said, "I haven't eaten anything for 2 days. I'm very hungry." Seeing him, I felt immense pity. I took him to a nearby takeaway, fed him a full meal, and when he finished eating, I gave him a $5 and left for my destination. Anyway, back to the incident. I looked at him and asked, "How are you?" The person smiled and replied, "I'm doing quite well. How are you?" I said, "Yes, I'm fine." Then he told me, "I've been waiting for you for the past 40 days. I asked, "Why? Is there something you need?" He said, "No, just felt like seeing you. But it wasn't right for you to come here alone so late at night. You did a very bad thing coming here alone this late. Besides, this place isn't good. Don't linger any longer. Go carefully." I said, "Okay," and took about 5 or 6 steps. Then something occurred to me and I turned back to look. When I turned back, I was astonished. Within 30 or 45 seconds, I couldn't find him anywhere. There were no other roads nearby that he could have taken. I was wondering what had happened. Suddenly 4 people surrounded me. They said, "Give us whatever you have." 2 grabbed my arms, 1 held a blade to my throat, and another searched my pockets. They took my money bag and mobile from my pocket. I had another phone in my left hand. I hesitated to let it go, so one of them slashed my hand multiple times with the blade. They cut the veins, and blood started gushing out. The 4 of them took everything and fled. So much blood was pouring from my hand that I felt I would faint and fall to the ground any moment. Everything in front of my eyes was getting blurry. Just as I was about to fall, someone came and held me. I looked at the person's face and saw it was the same person I had been talking to a while ago, holding me. He said to me, "I told you it wasn't right for you to come here so late at night." Then I don't remember anything else. At some point, I felt like that person was telling me, "Your money bag is under your pillow and your 2 mobiles are in your trouser pocket. And yes, don't tell anyone about these things. Whatever happened, keep it to yourself." Saying this, he nodded at me and left. I woke up with a start. I sat up and felt a sharp pain in my left hand. When I looked at my hand, I saw 9 cut marks, and the cut areas were just beginning to dry. I was genuinely startled. I quickly got out of the guest room and went to the place where I thought the robbers had cut my hand. That place was soaked in blood. I asked the security guard, "Did anyone bring me back last night?" The security guard's answer left me completely stunned. He said, "You didn't go out at all last night." If I didn't go out, then how did these blade cuts appear on my hand? And how did this blood get here? I ran back to my room. I saw my money bag under the pillow, and the 2 mobiles were in the pocket of my trousers hanging on the hanger. I couldn't think straight anymore. I was busy with work all day. By the time work finished, it was evening. Around 8:30, I left the factory and headed for the coach station. I bought a ticket. My coach was at 11:45. To pass the time, I sat reading a newspaper. Suddenly, my eyes fell upon an old newspaper. On it was a picture of that person, the one who had told me it wasn't right to come alone so late at night. I took the newspaper and read the news, and I was genuinely shocked. The newspaper was dated February 1, 2015. The news was about the death of a homeless man in a traffic accident near Paddington. Since that day, almost every night in my dreams, I exchange greetings with him, and he helps me in many dangers. This is my story. If you like it, please read it out. I have more stories. If I get time, I will write and send them. As proof of my story, I am sending pictures of the cut marks on my hand. Michael Smith. When I first read this story, I thought that this gentleman might be connected to this robbery incident. Many of you might think that he came and said the place wasn't good, and then he mentioned that we had met before at the KFC where I fed him. Then, how the robbers acted. Those who have fallen victim to robbers know that first. They establish some connection. This kind of incident could happen. But things get confusing when, after he gradually regains consciousness, he says that his money bag was under his pillow and his mobiles were in his trouser pocket. The confusion deepens. Then it becomes even more confusing when he wakes up and finds himself inside his room. If it was all a dream because the security guard told him he never went out at night, then how did the cut marks appear on his hand? And he sent us pictures of the cut marks. I have seen those pictures. If this incident truly happened to you, or if you truly wrote this, then it is very, very astonishing. Most of the time, we don't believe any incident until it happens to us personally. When it does happen to us, even a very normal event feels abnormal. We think, "Oh my God, this happened to me." If you heard that same incident from someone else, you might laugh at it. Some might not believe it. Some might say you are suffering from some mental problem, etc., etc. When you hear about others, that's how it feels. When it happens to you sitting alone in your room, you feel scared. You feel like someone is in the room with you. If you were to write these 2 lines to me, and if I shared them with someone, perhaps they wouldn't fully grasp your situation or feel what you felt in that place. It's difficult, but only you know how it was for you at that time. You suddenly enter the bathroom. You see in the mirror that your reflection isn't there. This thing might seem very abnormal to others, but you saw that your reflection wasn't in the mirror, or you saw another face on your window, or you saw someone else's reflection behind you in the mirror, or your own face had completely changed. These kinds of incidents happen frequently. You listen to the Midnight Narrator, and those who come on the Midnight Narrator have shared countless such incidents with you. God knows best why these incidents happen, for what reason. Hello Uday, I hope you and everyone in the Midnight Narrator team are doing well. I'm a regular listener of the Midnight Narrator. I want to keep my name and address confidential. I wish I could come to the studio and share my story. But due to some temporary difficulties, I can't come. If I get the chance, I will come another time. I want you to come, you must come. My family is originally from a village, but I grew up in East London. I heard this story from a friend of mine. This story is completely true. My friend's house is at the very end of our old neighborhood. I also know and am acquainted with the victim. For ease of understanding, I have made some language changes, which you will notice. Please overlook them with kindness. The story I am about to share is sensitive, and the victim is now living a normal life. Therefore, I am not revealing his real name. For the sake of clarity, I am using a pseudonym. I am telling the story as it happened to him. The incident happened to my cousin's friend, whose name is Daniel Brown. This is a pseudonym. He used to lodge at our house around 1999 or 2000. I was in year 7 or 8 at the time. Daniel was a very brilliant student. Dear listeners, welcome to this terrifying episode. Those of you who want to listen to the entire video in Uday's voice, please put on your headphones, because today's episode is completely new and is going to be very scary. So without further delay, let's listen to 2 or 3 emails, step by step. Very scary. Let's go. It should be mentioned that Daniel's house was in a village very close to the Essex border, and his school was in the neighboring town. The distance from school to home was about 6 or 7 kilometers. At that time, due to poor public transport and bad roads in that rural area, during the rainy season the paths would become very muddy, making travel very difficult. As a result, most students from that area used to lodge in various houses in our region. Daniel was then doing his GCSEs. Our house had 2 rooms, one facing north and the other facing south, with a large courtyard in between. For the first few days, Daniel and I slept in the southern room, but he used to study until very late at night, which disturbed my sleep a lot. So I started sleeping in the northern room, and Daniel stayed alone. He stayed by himself. At that time, in the village-like areas on the outskirts of London, the toilet was usually quite far from the main house. One night around midnight, my Uncle Robert went outside and saw a girl, covered with a scarf, coming down from the veranda of Daniel's room and fleeing over the back wall of the house. Uncle Robert followed where the girl went, but when he got to the back of the house, he saw no one there. It was completely silent and still all around. But how could a girl climb over such a high wall? He was puzzled. Then he peeked through Daniel's window and saw him. He was trembling while studying. He didn't say anything then and came back. The next day, due to being busy, he forgot about the matter. The following night, my grandmother went outside and saw someone swiftly fleeing past the southern room and jumping over the wall. It should be mentioned that my grandmother had very poor eyesight. She couldn't see well, so she thought a thief had entered the house. She quickly came back and started calling my father, saying a thief had broken in. We all came out immediately, but saw no one anywhere. It was midnight anyway, and we all went back to sleep. The next morning, everyone gathered to discuss the matter. Just then, Uncle Robert arrived and asked what had happened. My grandmother told him about the previous night's incident. Then Uncle Robert said he had also seen a girl the day before. A murmur started among everyone. Everyone began to suspect Daniel. Meanwhile, Daniel had gone for a tutoring session in the morning. That morning, Uncle Robert called Daniel and asked him if he knew anything. Daniel denied the matter, saying he knew nothing. Uncle Robert is a very religious man. He thought about it for a while and then told Daniel to go. A few days later, Uncle Robert went to the market and met Daniel's father, Mr. Richard Taylor. He discussed the matter with him. Mr. Taylor said, "You should have told me earlier." He explained that about a year ago, Daniel had gotten involved with a girl from his own village near the Essex border. She was his classmate. When the matter became known, I informed the girl's father so he could warn his daughter and make them understand they were making a mistake. I also advised Daniel so that his future wouldn't be ruined. They are still very young. People get emotional and make a mistake. Maybe if given a chance to correct themselves, they would. So I tried to reason with him gently. Meanwhile, the girl's father also strictly disciplined his daughter, but they kept in touch secretly. Daniel became inattentive to his studies, and his results suffered. So I physically disciplined him and again told the girl's father to control his daughter. The next day, I met the girl's grandfather, Mr. William Clark, on the road. He said he needed to talk to me. He told me he wanted to marry his granddaughter to my Daniel. I became very angry and insulted him, telling him to keep his granddaughter in line so I wouldn't hear such things again. It should be mentioned that Mr. Clark was known to practice folk magic and dabble in occult things. Since my son was very talented, I didn't want to ruin his future by marrying him off so young. About a week later, one night, the girl consumed poison and committed suicide. My son was devastated by this. As the girl's family didn't press charges, it was treated as an unnatural death. According to procedure, after the post-mortem, the funeral was completed. I also attended the girl's funeral. After it was over, I was comforting the girl's father. At that moment, Mr. Clark told me, "I will never let your son live in peace." He even said that my son would never be able to marry, that I would never see him married, and that he would ruin my son's life. I became very worried. Because he was into that sort of thing, I feared he might cast some spell on my son. To calm the situation, I returned home. Everything seemed fine, but about 3 or 4 months later, one night I went outside and saw a girl sitting in front of my son's room, crying. Hearing my footsteps, she vanished towards the east into our garden. My whole body shuddered with fear. The next morning, without telling anyone, I went to a renowned spiritual healer, Mr. George Harris, in a neighboring village and told him the whole story. He gave me some amulets and said, "Next Tuesday night, you must lock your house." On Tuesday night, we locked the house. After he left, nothing happened for a while. 2 days later, my son started going to school again. That night, Daniel's mother, Mrs. Susan Taylor, went outside and saw that same female figure sitting in front of Daniel's room. Seeing her, it fled again. The next day, I went back to Mr. Harris and told him what happened. He said, "This problem has occurred because your son went out. The one who performed this occult ritual is also very powerful. There's nothing more I can do." After that, I went to many healers, but nothing worked. From then on, every night, that female figure was seen sitting in front of my son's room, crying and fleeing if anyone sensed her presence. This continued. Uncle Robert, after hearing everything, reassured him and said not to worry. Uncle Robert returned home. During dinner, he mentioned Daniel's absence and told everyone the story. This cleared everyone's suspicion, but they all became very anxious, fearing that someone in our family might get hurt. 2 or 3 days later, my cousin Thomas came to visit us. At night, when he went outside, he saw someone sitting and crying in front of Daniel's room. He moved a little closer and saw a girl with her head buried in her knees, sobbing very pitiably. My cousin is a very brave man. He scolded the figure, shouting, "Hey, who are you?" Instantly, the girl turned around. He saw a horrifying female figure with bloodshot eyes. It suddenly pushed my brother hard, knocking him to the ground, and then disappeared into the darkness behind the house. My brother, badly hurt, started screaming on the ground. Daniel heard the noise, came out, saw my brother, and started calling for us. We all came out and saw my brother trembling continuously, frothing at the mouth, and in his hand was a clump of white hair. It should be mentioned that when Thomas was pushed, he had grabbed the girl's hair. We quickly brought him inside, poured water on his head, and tried warming him by the fire. But when there was no improvement, he developed a high fever and severe shivers. This continued until morning. In the morning, Uncle Robert took him to Mr. Harris. My cousin, my grandmother, and my father also went. Mr. Harris listened, looked at the white hair, gave my brother some amulets and talismans, and said that Daniel needed to be brought to him. He also asked for 3 specific items: catfish spines, red thread, and a 3-metal amulet. The next day, Daniel was taken to him. Mr. Harris performed rituals, broke the catfish spines, and using some other materials made amulets. He threaded the catfish onto the fishing hook and instructed us to hang it on a tree branch near some abandoned house. Then no such incident would happen to Daniel again. Following Mr. Harris's instructions, we hung it on a tree branch near an old, abandoned cottage in the neighboring village. After that, while he stayed at our house, no further incidents occurred or happened. About 6 months later, after his exams were over, he left our house. Since Daniel was my cousin's friend, we used to get news about him. He visited our house many times after that as well. Many years later, I met Daniel one day. He now works for British Rail. He has a very happy family with 2 children. He told me that after that there were no more problems. This was the story. If you like it, please share it. I have a few more stories I will write and send them later. Please send them in, and I hope you will visit us. Dear Uday, I hope by the infinite grace of God you are well. I know you are well, so I didn't ask. I'm a regular listener of the Midnight Narrator. For a long time, I've been thinking of sharing some incidents that happened to me and my family, but due to lack of time and opportunity, it hasn't happened. The incidents might not seem very ghostly, but they are memories that have left a deep mark on me and my family. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the story. It should be mentioned beforehand that this incident with our family is a culmination of many unfortunate events. Our family home was in a place in the Newham area of East London. My father was very brave and somewhat reckless since childhood. My father and mother got married in 1980. The beginning of the story can be traced back to around then. It should be mentioned that my grandfather had a lot of land, inherited property. After his marriage, my father separated from my grandfather for some reason and built a house at the very edge of my grandfather's land. Although when my father started building the house, his elders forbade him from living there because the place was considered haunted and dangerous. But due to his reckless and brave nature, my father didn't heed anyone's words and built the house there. I heard from my grandfather that a river used to flow in front of our house in some past era, and where our house stood was once a cremation ground. Astonishingly, it is true that all the ponds in that area still exist and drain into the River Lee in the same way. Anyway, I heard there was a huge, old sycamore tree there, and from its roots, various food smells could sometimes be detected. Anyway, after starting to live there, my father and mother had to face many strange and ghostly incidents. For example, sometimes at night, going outside, they would see an enormous, huge cow, very tall, eating leaves from the high treetops. Sometimes shadowy figures in the kitchen while frying fish, someone looking through the window, etc. And although these incidents sound strange, they are true. Now let's get to the main incident. As I mentioned before, the sycamore tree caused us a lot of harm. For instance, its shadow fell on the pond below, hindering fish cultivation, and it also damaged many other trees. For various reasons, my father decided to cut the tree down. But after my father sold the tree one night just before dawn, he felt someone come to his window and say in a deep voice, "If you cut the tree, your feet will be cut off." After hearing this, and since the tree was very old, he went to a distant relative of ours who was a healer by profession. He went to ask him if cutting the tree would cause any harm, but he didn't know that the healer, through his spiritual insight, had learned that there were many other bigger trees around, so there wouldn't be any problem. He learned through his means. Hearing this, the preparations for cutting the tree began in earnest, and that's where the trouble with the family started. It should be mentioned that we were 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I am the youngest, and I wasn't born yet. My elder brother was only 8 months old at that time. As soon as the tree was cut, my elder brother and my father became seriously ill. They recovered with great difficulty, but the incident didn't end there. From then on, one incident after another started happening with our family. For instance, when my elder brother was very young, he fell into water one day, though family members rescued him. Then one day, when he could barely crawl, he was seen playing, and in front of him was a huge snake. Although it didn't bite him, the snake slithered away the moment family members saw it. Another time, he fell from a tree several times, and he used to say that someone pushed him, causing him to fall from the tree. This continued. Then when my brother was 7 years old, I was born. From childhood, I also noticed some strange things. For example, I would get scared for no reason. Especially when I slept alone, I would see strange dreams where I felt like I was being pulled away, though I was actually in the room. And whenever I woke up late at night, I would notice shadowy figures moving around us. Seeing this from a very young age became so common that I eventually got used to it. I wasn't afraid. My brother studied at a religious school. When he got admitted to the advanced section, the most heartbreaking incident occurred. My mother and I were in central London at the time. Only my father and elder brother were at home. Late at night, my brother went outside alone for a natural call. I mentioned earlier that the sycamore tree had been cut down, and next to it was a large oak tree. At that moment, he saw some kind of figure, a very tall body with legs dangling, sitting on the top of the tree. Its legs hung from the treetop down to the ground. Seeing this, my brother became extremely frightened. He hurried back into the room and told my father what had happened. My father immediately rushed to the spot and searched everywhere, but found nothing. He called out, but saw nothing, yet my brother's fear didn't subside. After that, many religious healers, occultists, and doctors were consulted. But after this fright, he developed chest pains from which he never found relief. A few days later, my brother passed away due to a minor bout of diarrhea. After my brother passed away, various kinds of incidents started happening with us, different from before. For example, my fear increased manifold. Whenever I closed my eyes to sleep, I would be transporting to various terrifying places and encounter frightening creatures. Many religious healers, occultists, and doctors were consulted to solve this problem. My parents went wherever they heard of a healer and got amulets for me, kept them with me, but nothing seemed to solve the problem. One day, and the story doesn't end here. After much prayer to God, one day my father had a dream. Someone came in the dream and told him to leave this house quickly. It should be mentioned here that my father had prayed 5 times a day since childhood and could somehow sense things before major problems arose. Meanwhile, due to a slight delay in building the new house, my father had the same dream again. But this time, it was slightly different. He saw a tall figure clad in a white shroud telling him, "You keep saying you'll leave the house, but you don't. You will face trouble." The very next day, while playing, I received a severe blow to the stomach and couldn't breathe, losing consciousness. After that, I was sent to my grandmother's house until the construction of our new house was complete. Meanwhile, after our new house was finished, we moved in. But did that stop the torment on us? Let me tell you another incident. When my uncle was still alive, and I was about 10 years old, my father went alone to a dinner party, leaving me with my uncle. My mother wasn't home either, as she was ill. On his way back, my father's bus met with an accident, and he didn't return until around 11:00 p.m. On that very same day, another strange incident occurred. Right after noon, I heard my father come home and call me. The second time I shouted, "Dad," and he heard the call, but this time the call came from our old abandoned house. That day, I don't know what he thought, but my uncle didn't send me alone. He sent one of my older cousins with me, and maybe that's why I was saved that day. After arriving home, both of us felt a shiver run down our spines. When we heard the call, "Dad," for the 3rd time, we didn't respond. Hearing about our condition, my uncle called me back to his place, as our house and my uncle's house were almost adjacent. When my father arrived around 11:00, my uncle told him everything. My father also said that he had just arrived and came straight here from the bus stop looking for me. Many such strange incidents have happened to me. Moreover, it should be mentioned here that earlier my father had a dream where someone told him, "You have refused 2 pots of money." Many people in our village have had such dreams about money, but whoever tried to take it, their 2 children died. Anyway, after refusing the money, that entity forbade my father from demolishing 1 room of our old house. That room still exists, and my father saw 2 compartments. Well, friends, moving on from that. So let's continue. The money is moving there, underground. I could never study late at night since childhood. Even after moving to the new house, whenever I looked towards that direction through the window, late at night, I would see fire burning inside the old house. Sometimes, I would see what looked like someone hanging by the neck, etc. The distance between our new house and the old house isn't much, probably about 80 to 100 meters. This continued for a long time. When I was 10 years old, we received the grace of God. In our area of Newham, there was a very great saintly figure whom we knew as Mr. David Green. One day, while coming to exorcise a spirit from someone in our neighborhood, he passed by our house. My father brought him home. He called my mother aside and gave some spiritual remedies. I was too young to understand, but he gave me some advice. Not to stay alone until the age of 12, not to go out after sunset, to pray regularly, to recite certain verses 3 times every evening, and not to respond if someone called less than 3 times, etc., etc. By the grace of God, following his path, no major problems occurred. But even now, when I go home or go out in the dark in certain areas of the house, my body feels heavy. I haven't been informed whether our house has been sealed off or if anything is being done about it. However, a few days ago, I heard that my father was scared and was afflicted with a fever for about 15 days. He is fine now, by the grace of God. I wasn't informed about this either, and since I live outside the home, I wouldn't know. Finally, please pray for me that God grants me the ability to live well. Due to study and project pressure, coming to the studio to share my story is difficult. He also sent some pictures of the old house, and I have seen those pictures. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Today's email felt to me like, sometimes there are things that are hard to believe when you read them, and then you think, let me share it with everyone and see what they say. We hope that after listening to this, you will also share your feelings. And I'm saying at the outset again that our usual saying applies. Believing or not believing is entirely up to you, and the incidents sent to us today, I plan to read 2 incidents. Both were sent by 2 people who could come to the studio if they wanted, and they do have the intention, but for some reason, they can't come now. However, in the future, they want to come. I would very much like you all to come to the studio and share your incidents directly. I'm reading exactly as you've written. Hello, I am Christopher Lee, currently working as a manager in a private NGO. I'll get straight to my incident. The incident happened in the year 2000. I was a student in year 9. Due to extreme poverty, I was struggling through that time. Because of the dire poverty in the family, even if I wanted to, I couldn't eat well. I was passing my time in such conditions. Suddenly one day, an elderly neighbor, Mr. George Harris, said to me, Christopher, a person has died in the next street, want to come for the cremation? It should be noted that Mr. Harris was particularly well known in our area for cremating people. So I went with him to cremate a person for the first time in my life. To be honest, I went because I thought I might get some food offering there. That's how my cremation work began. After that, whenever someone died somewhere, I would get a call to help with the cremation, and I would respond to that call. This is how cremating people became an addiction for me, and I would go for the food offerings. This went on for 2 years. I became known throughout the area for this. I'm now 32 years old. I can't explain to you how many people I have cremated with these 2 hands at the cremation ground. I still haven't been able to fully give up this habit. I am sharing a terrifying lesson from cremating people with you today. If you like it, please read it out. The incident is from 2004. I apologize for not being able to disclose my friend's name. That day, like any other day, I had gone for tutoring. At that time, not all areas of our part of London had electricity. Many parts were still without power, so I used to carry a kerosene lamp for tutoring. While I was on my way, there was heavy rain. It was the rainy season. The path to my student's house was flooded with tide water. I was walking through knee-deep water. After walking some distance, I slipped and fell into the water. In the clear light of the lamp, I distinctly saw an elderly woman lying in the water, staring at me and smiling. I was more startled than scared. Why was she lying here? I couldn't even scream, fearing what the people at my student's house, which was nearby, would think if they heard me. Within 3 or 4 seconds, that elderly woman vanished into the darkness of the night. I couldn't teach properly that day. I sat at their house for a while and then returned home. After dinner, around 10:00 p.m., someone called my name 3 or 4 times. As my grandmother opened the door, I saw Mr. Harris, the same elderly neighbor. I heard that my friend's mother had passed away just a little while ago. It should be noted that she had been bedridden for a long time, so no one was willing to cremate her. That day, for some reason, I didn't feel like going. Firstly, that incident was lingering in my mind, And then the dark night, the rain, everything combined, my mind was reluctant to go. But due to persistent insistence, I eventually couldn't refuse. I thought, whatever happens, it's my friend's mother, nothing will happen. So reluctantly, I went with Mr. Harris for the cremation. That day I understood how heartless people can be. The house was full, nearly 15 households of residents. Everyone had their doors closed. No one came forward, because she had died of an illness. It was the rainy season, around 1 a.m. We were only 5 people taking the body to the crematorium to light the pyre. Their open cremation ground was beside a canal. Then the strange incidents began. About 20 minutes after lighting the pyre, the body slipped and fell off the pyre. I'm telling you, I was terrified that day. Mr. Harris said the body's muscles had tightened. We rearranged the pyre, placed the half-burnt body back on it, chanted and lit the fire again, but the body wouldn't catch fire. We tried everything until almost dawn, but the body just wouldn't burn. It was silent and deserted all around. There were just 5 of us. It was raining in the late hours of the night. In the distance, dogs were howling mournfully. Since the body wouldn't burn, my friend's uncle decided to offer the body to the river. Finally, we made a raft from banana plants, tied the half-burnt body with several ropes onto the raft, took it down the canal to the river, and immersed the body in the middle of the river. Nothing much happened that night. The very next day, I went for tutoring again at night with my lamp. After finishing the lesson, on my way home, there was a bridge I had to cross. Due to the rain, the village path was completely silent. As I was crossing the bridge, my gaze suddenly fell upon the river. I distinctly saw that half-burnt body from the previous night walking on the water towards me. I didn't have the strength to run away. I just watched as it came closer and closer, then extended its entire right arm towards my neck. I tried to scream, but no sound came out of my throat. What I remember next is waking up lying on the bridge, with many people around me, my mother, grandmother, sitting near my head, crying. Even today, whenever I hear of someone's death, I somehow feel the urge to go and cremate them. That addiction hasn't left me, not for the food offerings anymore. Just for the addiction itself, I feel like going to cremate. But whenever I remember that incident, I get very scared at night. Christopher Lee. Please tell me your name first, where you are from, then we'll get to your incident. We have many small incidents. First, tell us your name and where you're from. Thank you, Uday. I'm Matthew White. I've come from Tower Hamlets. The first incident I want to share today is somewhat related to a dream. The thing I was telling you outside, the matter was like this. Our house is in Tower Hamlets. And at that time, we were on the ground floor. So one night I went to sleep. Then all of a sudden, I saw that I had gone to my grandmother's house. Okay, at that moment, and my grandmother's house was in Whitechapel. There was a lot of coming and going at my grandmother's house, so the environment there was very familiar to me. Yes, even in the dark, I could completely understand that at that moment, I was in my grandmother's house. I was floating in the room where my grandmother and grandfather used to sleep. Floating, you were floating, I was floating, and I could hear the very familiar sound of the fan in the dark. I was touching and feeling the various pieces of furniture. Even there was a small balcony attached to my grandparents' room. I went there too. It was completely grilled. I touched the grills. I could see the road outside. Then I came back inside the room. All of a sudden, I thudded back onto my bed in our Tower Hamlets house, and I woke up. The whole thing happened very quickly, and it was very strange, so realistic. I felt like I had actually gone there at that moment. At that time, it was as if I was residing at my grandmother's house, and then suddenly I was back on my bed at home. That's what it was like. Okay, right. Matthew, have any more incidents happened? Let's hear about those too. I'll tell you another incident. This is also centered around my grandmother's house. I had emailed you once before, where I mentioned a pattern about the house. Each landing of the stairs from the first floor onwards had a small extension before turning to the next landing. I used to call them 1.5, 2.5 floors. So, let me tell you an incident on the 3.5 floor. At that time, some renovation work was going on at my grandmother's house. There was a leader among the workers, whom everyone called the gaffer. I went and stood on the balcony of the room on the 3.5 floor. I saw that this person called the gaffer was sitting inside the room on something like a cot, doing some small tasks, like organizing the tools used in masonry work, taking things out, putting them away, something like that. When I looked at him from the balcony, he said to me, "I want to show you something, will you look?" I said, "Yes, show me." There was a bathroom next to where he was sitting, and a drum was placed in front of that bathroom. He looked towards the bathroom and said, "Come." As soon as he said it, a completely black figure, no eyes, no face, nothing, just a black body, came out of the bathroom, slapped the drum very hard, and within a second went back into the bathroom. He looked towards the bathroom again and said, "Come." Immediately, that figure came out of the bathroom, swiftly slapped the drum, and darted back into the bathroom exactly the same way. This repeated 3 or 4 times. I immediately left from there and went straight home. That was the second incident. Now the third incident. Before I begin this third incident, I want to say that this incident is much more frightening. So before starting this incident, first I want to say to the girls, the man who will fight for you, who will compete with you to have you, don't believe it. There are few types of men in this world. One type will love you as much as you love them, but it's useless. The day your love decreases, they will run. Another type of man, their hearts are very big. They might kiss one girl in the morning and take another out in the evening. For them, all of these are real. They have 1, then 2, 3 simultaneously. Nothing is fake, it's all real to them. Another type of man, they aren't men, they are like a bank. They will show you dreams with their money, take you to expensive restaurants, give you countless trips. They will take you back in time from the present, promising adventure. They will take you to a hotel and then abandon you. After that, you'll see they've vanished. And even if you do marry him, after midnight you'll be sitting with rice, waiting, while your balding beloved is busy feeding biryani to another. Another type of man always wants to exert control. They will always be fearful about what dress you wear when you go out. A guy's gaze is 1,000 times deeper than an eagle's. I'd even compare satellites to a guy's gaze, because an unemployed guy is capable of measuring your body from inside. Shirts, dresses, and everything else aside, they will try to protect you, fearing that you might become the object of their fantasies in those guys' eyes. They will tell you to adjust your hijab repeatedly, tell you to cover your chest properly, left and right. They will shout about wearing the hijab loose, not tight. They'll insist on a loose-fitting burqa. If it's tight, that type of man won't be able to tolerate it. When you sit for online classes, they will keep you active. They will be afraid that someone else might take you away. Anyway, when you notice he's overly attentive, or perhaps you see he's wrapped his whole world around you, it might happen that he shouts at you about these things. It's for your own good. You might not like it, you might feel imprisoned in a cage. But actually, this guy wants to keep you safe. In his mind, he wants you to think of him all the time, ignoring guys on the street or around you. If you mention a movie hero to him, he'll be deeply hurt. If you see this type of guy as a psycho, they are psychos. But if you see him as a lover, a life partner, you won't find anyone more perfect in this world than him. A woman, you are a man's mental state and mental peace. He won't think of you as separate. He will think of you as a part of his body, and you will too. Just like when you have a headache, your whole body aches. Similarly, losing you or harming you is capable of destroying him. Sadly, this type of guy gets cheated on the most. The one who's just passing time, he won't even think about you, nor will he discipline you. And you'll think, oh, my man is so good. He gives me so much freedom. Sister, the one to whom you want to give yourself, if he doesn't even discipline you, how can you think he's perfect? And that type of guy who fights with you to have you, you are cheating on that guy. History is witness. 90% of women after marriage want to go back to their ex. How many lives have you ruined? Husband, children, boyfriend, you destroyed everything with your own hands. Yet, if you had held on to that person from the start, everything would have been fine. What are you thinking? The man who got cheated, even after you leave, he waits. Yes, because he won't believe that this separation has happened like this. Day after day, he'll wait. Depression will surround him. Suffering through pain, hatred will also be born in that guy's mind. I swear, sister, you will never get that person back the way he was. When hatred is born in women, they forget the person. But when hatred is born in men, they don't hesitate to finish the person. That's why the number of acid attacks and violence against women in this country is high. The one who loved you like crazy, one day will think of you as his biggest enemy. Do the maths. Even here you are there, whether it's hatred or love. He is still consumed by you today. So understand yourself, understand your man. If you see that he fights with you for you, see it as a form of love. Otherwise, he too, like me, will be able to spend a month or 12 days sleepless. There are still many long nights ahead for him too. When I told this story on my channel, everyone knows I have a channel called the Midnight Narrator. When I narrated this story on the channel, thousands of women commented on it. Among them, I'll read one comment from Jennifer Martin. She commented, "Uday, you've exactly captured the true nature of my beloved. Uday, he is in paranoia 24 hours a day. If even a stranger comes home, he thinks he's here to marry me, and he starts scolding me about it. I've told him many times, you are a psychopath, see a psychiatrist. He once saw in his sleep that I was getting married. He woke up crying and became senseless. Then my roommates poured water on his head and called me to tell me all this. Hearing all this at 3 a.m., my condition was also bad. Then talking to him on call in the morning, I learned it was because of a dream of losing me. And at night, his roommates thought maybe he had seen some terrifying dream about ghosts. The Ra of their dorm even recited some prayers and blew on him. I'm so paranoid about him. He has all my account passwords. On FB I have 2 friends, one is his younger brother and the other is him. The other is his younger sister. Then if he sees me active, he fights with me, even though he already has the password. I had fought with him about this in the morning, and now you posted this on YouTube. I should call him and tell him once, and he deserves it. Actually, the fault is ours. Sisters, as much paranoia as he gives, he loves even more. Pray for us. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for pointing out our mistake. Thank you so much. Anyway, I'll take one more comment here. Paul Robinson wrote, you said you didn't sleep for 1 month, 12 days, and I haven't slept for a long 13 months. How I'm still alive, only God knows. Still, I wait for her, pray for her. Anyway, I'll take another comment. This comment, if I show it, someone named Lisa Walker wrote, I want someone like that, but he used to do this at the beginning of the relationship, cared a lot, disciplined a lot, but now he doesn't anymore. Anyway, I want to say to Lisa, you too have chosen a man from the category of many men, the kind who give a lot of time initially and forget once their needs are met. Anyway, you'll understand what's good for you. I want to read another comment. She wrote, Sarah Hall, this intense power of love, which gives neither happiness nor lets one live in peace. A person does not hesitate to waste a life for love. How strange is love? Okay, anyway, I liked hearing your words. I want to tell you that only the one who receives the full share of love understands its essence. The one who gets hurt thinks that everyone in the world has been hurt. You are also in that group, and I really liked your writing. Another person wrote, Emma Young, I pray that my future son-in-law is not like this. May God make him of sound mind. Yes, if you pray like that, then God will match your fate accordingly. Anyway, I am reading many incidents and also telling stories. At the end of the video, you all will comment on my video. Then I will read your comments mentioning your names. Here, Laura King writes, is it true? The characteristics of the man you described at the end, a man with those same characteristics, is also in my life. But sometimes they behave in such a way, Uday, believe me, it goes beyond the limits of tolerance. But honestly, their love is terrifyingly beautiful, and you can feel it every moment. Finally, dear listeners, I want to say one thing to you, those of you who send me small emails or any terrifying stories from your lives. Look, on the journey of life, since you are listening to my video today, surely you are under 20 or up to 20. For those of you above 20, some incident must have definitely happened in your lives. I want those of you who have listened to my video completely, even if just one person listens till the very end, to send us the terrifying incidents that have happened to you via email. I'm a small and new user of the Midnight Narrator, so support me and listen to my videos more and more. and the other channels are big brands. Everyone listens to their stories. So I also want to present new stories to you all. No copy videos anywhere. I will always try my best to present good content in front of you, and I am trying hard, and every day at 10 p.m. I am releasing videos, and I am thinking of changing my time from tomorrow. From tonight I am planning to release videos at 11 p.m. So those of you who watch my videos from far and wide, from abroad, please stay with my channel. I hope for that. As a relatively new channel, you all are giving a very good response, which is a very pleasing thing for me. Then I want to say one thing to my viewers abroad. If you have any terrifying incidents from your lives, please send them to my email.